The crystalline spires of Valoria's capital city glimmered in the binary sunset, casting prismatic reflections across the landing platform as Marcus Harrington stepped off the diplomatic shuttle. At 32, he was the youngest senior diplomat Earth had ever sent to the notoriously isolationist Valorians, and the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his shoulders. Ambassador Harrington, welcome to Valoria. A tall, translucent-skinned official bowed stiffly. I am Thenis, first counsel to the royal court. We did not expect a human so young for such an important assignment. Marcus smiled, used to the skepticism. Age is measured differently across our worlds, Counsel Thenis. I assure you, Earth sends its most qualified representative. Thenis's iridescent eyes narrowed slightly. Very well. The welcoming ceremony begins at first moonrise. You will be presented to the royal family and the Council of Elders. He paused, looking uncomfortable. There is a protocol matter to address. The Princess Elara will be present, but you must not acknowledge her directly. May I ask why? Marcus questioned, already cataloging this cultural peculiarity. She is not recognized as a true heir by many. It would be politically expedient to focus your attention elsewhere. With that cryptic statement, Thenis guided him toward the diplomatic quarters. The royal ceremony was unlike anything in Marcus's extensive experience. The Great Hall of Valoria was carved from a single massive crystal, amplifying and refracting sound in ways that made the formal Valorian greeting chants reverberate through his very bones. King Orion and Queen Asteria sat upon floating thrones of living metal, their elaborate headdresses marking their royal lineage. And then Marcus saw her. Princess Elara sat apart from her parents, on a smaller throne positioned just slightly behind them. Unlike the other Valorians whose skin held a translucent quality, hers had a subtle violet hue that caught the light differently. Her eyes, 3 of them, the third centered on her forehead, were cast downward, avoiding contact with anyone in the room. Following protocol, Marcus addressed the king and queen formally, then the Council of Elders. As instructed, he made no acknowledgement of the princess. Yet throughout the ceremony, he found his gaze drawn repeatedly to her isolated figure. At the reception afterward, Marcus navigated the delicate politics of first contact, careful not to commit Earth to any unfavorable trade agreements while building goodwill. He was deep in conversation with an elder about industrial replication rights when he felt a strange sensation, like fingers gently brushing across his mind. Excusing himself, Marcus stepped out onto a deserted balcony overlooking the capital's crystal landscape. The 3 moons of Valoria hung low in the night sky, bathing everything in surreal blue light. You didn't avoid looking at me like everyone else does, came a melodic voice from the shadows. How refreshing. Princess Elara stepped forward, her ceremonial robes replaced by simpler attire that accentuated her slender form. Up close, the third eye on her forehead wasn't simply decorative, it blinked independently, focusing on him with unsettling intensity. I was instructed not to acknowledge you, Your Highness, Marcus admitted. Not to avoid looking at you. There's a difference. A smile curved her lips. A diplomatic answer. But I felt your curiosity. It's different from how others regard me. How do you mean, felt? My third eye isn't merely physical, she explained, stepping closer. I'm telepathic, the first in 10 generations of Valorian royalty. That's why I'm problematic. Your people fear telepathy? Marcus asked, fascinated. They consider it an evolutionary regression, a return to our primitive past. Elara's voice carried no self-pity, only matter-of-fact acceptance. A princess who can read minds is too dangerous to rule. On Earth, such abilities would be celebrated, Marcus said truthfully. Their eyes met, and something electric passed between them. For a brief moment, Marcus felt a whisper of her consciousness, loneliness, curiosity, and an unexpected attraction that mirrored his own. Would you walk with me, Ambassador? Elara asked, offering her slender hand. "There's a private garden below where we won't be observed. I find myself curious about Earth and about you." Marcus knew accepting her invitation risked diplomatic complications. His briefing had specifically warned against unauthorized interactions with any royal family member. But the connection he felt transcended protocol. "I'd be honored, Your Highness," he replied, taking her hand. Their fingers intertwined, hers cool and smooth against his warm skin, and in that simple touch, both felt the first stirrings of something that would soon change two worlds forever. 3 weeks into his diplomatic mission, Marcus found himself increasingly drawn to Princess Elara. Their nightly walks through the royal gardens had become the highlight of his days on Valoria, a secret ritual hidden from the watchful eyes of the court. The council meeting was particularly hostile today, Elara said as they strolled beneath bioluminescent trees that pulsed with gentle light. Elder Krev suggested I be sent to the outer colonies for my own protection. Marcus frowned. "That sounds more like exile than protection." "It is," she confirmed, her third eye blinking with emotion. "My father almost agreed to it." They stopped beside a reflecting pool where floating crystals cast dancing patterns across the water's surface. When Elara turned to face him, Marcus felt the now familiar gentle brush of her mind against his. "They fear what they don't understand," he said, reaching for her hand. "And they especially fear what I understand about them." Her fingers intertwined with his. The elders' thoughts reveal their true agenda with Earth. The technology exchange they're offering is deliberately flawed. Marcus stiffened. That would violate the preliminary agreement. The Council believes humans are too ambitious, too unpredictable. They want to limit your advancement while gaining access to Earth's biosphere diversity. Her voice lowered. "I've been trying to warn my father, but my interference only strengthens their argument that I'm unfit for diplomacy." A guard patrol passed nearby, forcing them to separate quickly. When the coast was clear, Marcus stepped closer than propriety allowed. "This information could save my people years of scientific setbacks," he whispered. "Thank you for trusting me." "It's not just trust, Marcus." Elara's voice carried an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "When our minds connect, I feel complete for the first time. You don't shield yourself from me like the others." The admission hung between them, charged with implications. On Earth, their growing closeness would be a simple matter of attraction. Here, it was perilously close to treason. Ambassador Harrington, a stern voice interrupted. Elder Thenis emerged from the shadows, his expression cold. "Private councils with the princess are forbidden." "We were discussing Earth's cultural festivals," Marcus replied smoothly. "Her Highness expressed interest in our diversity celebrations." "Indeed." Thenis's eyes flickered between them suspiciously. "Nevertheless, the king requests your presence." "Alone?" In the royal chambers, King Orion didn't bother with pleasantries. "Ambassador, your interactions with my daughter must cease immediately." "With respect, Your Majesty." "This isn't a request," Orion interrupted. "Elara's abilities make her vulnerable to foreign influence. Some already suggest she's been compromised by your friendship." Marcus maintained diplomatic composure despite his rising anger. "I assure you, our discussions have been proper and beneficial to both our worlds." "You don't understand our ways," the king said, his voice softening slightly. "Elara's telepathic nature is an evolutionary throwback to our species' predatory past. For millennia, we've worked to breed such traits out of the royal line. Perhaps these abilities deserve reconsideration," Marcus suggested carefully. "On Earth, such talents would be valued, not suppressed." "Is that why you seek her company?" the king asked sharply. "To study her abnormality for Earth's benefit?" "No, Your Majesty. I seek her company because she's insightful, intelligent, and treats me as an equal, not an alien curiosity." Something in the king's expression shifted. You have feelings for my daughter. It wasn't a question, and Marcus knew denial would be pointless. My personal feelings are secondary to my diplomatic duties. See that they remain so, or I am warned. The treaty negotiations enter a critical phase tomorrow. Earth needs this alliance far more than it needs a scandal involving our outcast princess. After the king dismissed him, Marcus found himself drawn to Alara's quarters, protocol be damned. He needed to warn her about the increasing dangers of their connection. But as her chamber door slid open and their eyes met, warning her was the furthest thing from his mind. We shouldn't be doing this, Alara whispered as she pulled Marcus into her private chambers, the door sealing silently behind them. Her third eye pulsed with a soft violet glow that illuminated the darkened room. I know, Marcus replied, but made no move to leave. The air between them felt charged with electricity. Your father made his position quite clear. And yet here you are. Her lips curved into a smile that made his heart race. Defying a king for an alien princess nobody wants. I want you, he said simply, the words falling from his lips before he could consider their diplomatic implications. For a moment, Alara stood perfectly still, her three eyes studying him with an intensity that reached beyond physical sight. Then she stepped forward, eliminating the space between them. Show me, she breathed, how humans express desire. Their first kiss was tentative, an exploration of alien territory. Her skin was cooler than human temperature, with a subtle texture like finest silk. As their lips met, Marcus felt a strange tingling sensation spread through his mind, as if her telepathic abilities had created a bridge between them. I can feel your thoughts, she murmured against his mouth. So vibrant, so unguarded. Marcus pulled back slightly. Is this ethical for your people? Nothing about me is ethical for my people, she replied with a bitter laugh. But this connection, I've never experienced anything like it. Your mind doesn't reject mine like Valorian minds do. She guided his hands to the fastenings of her garment, which dissolved beneath his touch like evaporating mist. The bioluminescence of her skin intensified as layers fell away, revealing curves both alien and alluring. Your turn, she said, fingers working at his uniform. Later, as they lay entwined on her sleeping platform, a floating surface that conformed to their bodies like living memory foam, Marcus traced the delicate patterns that appeared on her skin where he'd touched her. Those are empathic markings, she explained, watching him with all three eyes half closed in contentment. They reveal emotional impressions. No Valorian has ever touched me enough to create such patterns. What do they mean? He asked, tracing a particularly vivid swirl across her hip. That one is pleasure, she said, catching her breath as his fingers moved. The spirals near my heart show connection. She took his hand and placed it on her chest, where intricate patterns formed beneath his palm. And this is something my language has no word for. We call it falling in love, Marcus said softly. Her third eye widened. Is that what this feeling is? This sense that I've found something I didn't know was missing? Instead of answering, he kissed her again, and the telepathic connection between them deepened. This time, he could feel not just her thoughts but her emotions, her lifetime of isolation, her hunger for acceptance, and now her joy at finding someone who saw beyond her differences. I want to try something, Alara whispered. It's forbidden among my people, but I think with you, it might be beautiful. She pressed her forehead against his, the third eye making contact with his skin. Suddenly, Marcus felt his consciousness expand dramatically. He could perceive the room from her perspective, feel the weight of his own body against hers through her sensations. Their physical intimacy was amplified by this mental union, creating layers of pleasure that transcended the merely physical. When they finally separated, both gasping, Marcus knew something fundamental had changed between them. That was a complete telepathic bond, Alara said, awe in her voice. It's only described in ancient texts. No modern Valorian has experienced it. Is that why your people fear telepathy so much? He asked, still reeling from the intensity. Yes. The bond creates a vulnerability they can't accept. She traced the outline of his face with trembling fingers. But they don't understand what it offers in return. As dawn approached, reality intruded on their sanctuary. The treaty negotiations would begin in hours, and Marcus needed to return to his quarters without being discovered. This can't be just one night, he said, reluctantly dressing. I don't know how, but I'll find a way for us to be together. Elara smiled sadly. The council would never accept a human consort for a princess, even an unwanted one. Then perhaps it's time to change the council's mind. Marcus kissed her one last time. Or find another path entirely. Neither realized that their minds remained subtly connected even as they parted, a phenomenon unprecedented in Valorian history, and one that would soon become impossible to hide. The treaty negotiations had reached their 5th day when everything unraveled. Marcus sat across from the Valorian delegation, carefully reviewing the modified technology exchange provisions. Thanks to Elara's warnings, he had identified and countered the Council's attempts at subterfuge, earning grudging respect from King Orion but increasing hostility from Elder Thenis. Throughout the proceedings, Marcus felt Elara's presence in his mind, a gentle warmth that had persisted since their night together. The telepathic bond they'd formed seemed to strengthen rather than fade with time, allowing them to communicate silently even across the palace grounds. They're planning something, Elara's thoughts whispered to him. Thenis met with the Earth security officer last night. Be careful. Marcus kept his expression neutral as he responded mentally, still amazed at how naturally this communication came to him now. Your father seems more receptive today. Perhaps he's reconsidering your role. Don't trust appearances, came her warning. Meet me in the Eastern Observatory at dusk. The meeting never happened. As Marcus approached the observatory, royal guards intercepted him, their crystalline weapons drawn. Ambassador Harrington, you are confined to quarters pending investigation of espionage charges, the captain announced coldly. What charges? Marcus demanded as they escorted him forcefully back to his rooms. Unauthorized access to royal genetic data. Telepathic infiltration of secure systems. Corruption of the royal bloodline. The captain's disgust was evident. Elder Thenis has proof of your plot to use the princess's abnormality against Valoria. In his quarters, now a luxurious prison, Marcus tried repeatedly to reach Elara through their mental link, but encountered only static. Hours passed in anxious isolation before his door finally opened to admit not guards, but Queen Asteria herself. Ambassador, she said, her voice tight with controlled emotion. You have created a diplomatic crisis beyond repair. Your Majesty, the accusations are false, Marcus began, but she silenced him with a raised hand. The evidence suggests otherwise. She placed a crystal sphere on the table between them. It activated, projecting images of Marcus and Elara in the garden, in her chambers, their intimate moments exposed for all to see. This surveillance was authorized after concerns about my daughter's loyalties. Marcus felt sick. This invasion of privacy is nothing compared to the invasion you performed, the Queen interrupted. The scans show your DNA has merged with Elara's telepathic patterns. Such contamination is unprecedented. It's not contamination, Marcus argued. It's connection. Something beautiful your people have rejected out of fear. The Queen's expression softened slightly. Perhaps once, long ago. But now our society depends on genetic purity and mental sovereignty. The Council has voted unanimously. Elara is to be exiled to the outer colony on Vex. You are to return to Earth immediately. Let me see her, Marcus pleaded. Impossible. She's already in isolation preparing for transport. The Queen hesitated. However, there is a matter of succession. Scans confirm she carries a genetic anomaly. One that bears your human markers. Marcus froze, understanding the implication. She's pregnant? An impossibility made possible by your telepathic bond. The Queen looked troubled. The child would be an abomination in Valorian terms, but potentially valuable for scientific study. That child is your grandchild, Marcus said firmly. And I want to be with its mother. The decision is not yours to make. The Queen stood. Your shuttle leaves at dawn. Earth's diplomatic corps has already been informed of your indiscretion. After she left, Marcus sat in despair until a subtle mental touch broke through the interference. Marcus? Can you hear me? Ilara. Where are you? In the Royal Medical Facility. They've implanted suppressors to contain my abilities, but our bond is too strong for them. Her mental voice was weak but determined. I'm to be exiled tomorrow. The child, our child, is why they're sending me away instead of executing me. They want to study it. I'll find a way to reach you, he promised. No. Return to Earth as ordered. There was an unexpected strength in her thoughts. Meet the Tyrellian ambassador. Tell him the ancient pact endures. He'll understand. Before Marcus could question her further, guards entered to escort him to a holding area near the shuttle bay. His diplomatic status had been revoked, his career in ruins. That night, as Marcus prepared for his forced departure, the lights in his room flickered. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a secret passage and Ilara herself, dressed in simple travel clothes. How did you? She pressed her fingers to his lips. The palace was built when telepaths still ruled. These passages respond to mental commands few remember. Her third eye was dull, its glow suppressed by a metallic band. We have one night before they realize I'm gone. They came together desperately, both knowing it might be their last time. The suppressors couldn't completely block their bond, and their connection flared powerfully as they joined physically and mentally, memorizing every sensation, every emotion. I will find you, Marcus whispered as they lay together afterward. No matter where they send you. I know, Ilara replied, placing his hand on her abdomen where their impossible child grew. We'll be waiting. Part 5, New Beginning. 6 months had passed since Marcus's disgraceful return to Earth. His diplomatic career lay in ruins, his reputation tarnished by accusations of compromising interplanetary relations. Yet none of it mattered compared to the emptiness he felt without Ilara's presence in his mind. The connection that had burned so brightly between them had dimmed to a faint whisper across the vast distance. Some nights he would catch glimpses of her dreams, the harsh conditions of Vex Colony, the growing life within her, her unwavering belief that he would come for her. You're certain about this course of action? The Tyrellian ambassador, Drav, studied Marcus with compound eyes that reflected the light of Earth's moon. They stood on the private landing pad of the Tyrellian embassy, where a sleek interstellar craft waited. The ancient pact endures, Marcus replied, the phrase Ilara had instructed him to use. I still don't understand what it means, but I know I need to reach Vex Colony. Drav's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. It means the Tyrellians recognize what the Valorians have forgotten, that telepathic bonds were once sacred across our star cluster. Before fear replaced wisdom. He handed Marcus a crystal key. This craft will take you beyond Valorian security nets. The rest depends on the strength of your bond. 3 weeks later, Marcus approached Vex Colony, a desolate mining outpost on a moon barely habitable by Valorian standards. For humans, the atmosphere was toxic without protection. He wore the environmental suit Drav had provided, modified to mask his life signs as Tyrellian. Ilara? He called mentally as the craft settled on the barren surface. I'm here. For a moment, nothing. Then, like a sunrise breaking through clouds, her presence flooded his mind. Marcus. You came. How did you find me? I followed our connection. Where are you? Eastern Quadrant, medical facility. They monitor me constantly. Our child grows stronger each day, and so do my abilities. The suppressors barely function anymore. Marcus made his way through the colony using credentials Drav had provided. The facility was minimally guarded. Who would bother infiltrating an exile colony? When he reached the medical wing, he found it empty except for a single guard who fell unconscious when Alara mentally touched him. She waited behind a sealed door, her pregnant form visible through observation glass. When the door slid open, they came together in a rush of emotion so powerful it manifested as visible light around them, her telepathic energy uncontained. The bond has evolved, she explained as they hurried toward his craft. Our child has amplified it beyond anything in Valorian records. Can they track us? Marcus asked, helping her aboard. Not anymore. Her third eye glowed brilliantly, the suppressor device now a shattered ruin around her neck. I've masked our presence completely. They were halfway to Tyrellian space when the transmission came through, not from Valorian authorities as they feared, but from King Orion himself. Daughter, he said, his expression grave but not angry. The ancient sensors have awakened. The crystal spires respond to your child's energy signature. It cannot be suppressed or denied any longer. Alara tensed. Father, I won't return to exile. No. The king looked suddenly older, burdened. You must return to the capital. The first royal telepath in 10 generations cannot be born in exile. The signs are undeniable. Marcus and Alara exchanged confused glances. What signs? She asked. The sacred archives have unsealed themselves. The ancient telepathic council chamber has reactivated after millennia of dormancy. The king's voice softened. The founder's prophecy speaks of a child of two worlds whose mind would bridge the stars. We believed it metaphorical until now. 1 month later, Marcus stood beside Alara in that very chamber, a vast crystal dome at the heart of the Valorian capital that had remained sealed for thousands of years until their return. The political landscape had shifted dramatically. Elder Thenis and his faction had been removed from power, their manipulation of genetic data revealed as a centuries-long plot to suppress telepathic bloodlines. Are you ready? Alara asked, resplendent in ceremonial robes that accommodated her advanced pregnancy. As ready as a human can be to become the first non-Valorian royal consort, Marcus replied with a nervous smile. The ceremony blended ancient Valorian traditions with new elements recognizing their unique union. When they joined hands, their mental connection flared visibly, a phenomenon that left the assembled dignitaries in awe. The telepathic bond they shared was recognized as sacred under laws so ancient they predated modern Valorian society. The child comes, Alara whispered suddenly as the ceremony concluded, clutching Marcus's hand. What followed was unlike any royal birth in Valorian history. As Alara labored, her telepathic abilities projected her experience throughout the crystal chamber. Those present, including representatives from Earth, witnessed not just a physical birth but a psychic awakening. Their daughter emerged into the world with eyes open, 2 human-like eyes and a third, brilliantly glowing eye on her forehead. When she cried out, her telepathic voice touched every mind present, projecting not fear or distress, but recognition and belonging. Her name is Aurora, Alara announced, cradling their child. Light of 2 worlds. King Orion approached cautiously, gazing at his granddaughter with wonder. The first of a new lineage, he acknowledged. Neither purely Valorian nor human, but something greater than both. Later, as they stood on the palace balcony overlooking a city now alight with celebration rather than fear, Marcus held his family close. No one wanted the alien princess, he said softly. Until a human stepped up. Alara smiled, her third eye glowing with contentment. And now our daughter will never know such rejection. She'll be the bridge between worlds, just as we have been. Below them, the crystal spires of Valoria pulsed with new energy, their ancient intelligence awakening to welcome the child whose existence promised to transform not just one world, but the relationship between species across the stars. In their joined minds, a vision of the future unfolded, one where telepathic bonds were again celebrated, where humans and Valorians and countless other species shared knowledge freely, guided by the wisdom of a child born of courage, defiance, and love that transcended the boundaries of worlds.